German Shepherd was found with wires wrapped around his legs. What baby did next? Left. Everyone in tears. The story you're about to listen to will break your heart and then put it back together again. What this little girl did when she found an injured dog will leave you speechless. Like, share, and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. It was the kind of spring day that promised summer, warm enough for short sleeves, but with a gentle breeze that carried the scent of wildflowers across the sleepy Oregon suburb where 5-year-old Lily lived. Her house sat at the edge of a sprawling neighborhood, backing up to a patch of woods that the local kids treated as their own magical kingdom. Lily's copper-colored pigtails bounced as she skipped along the worn dirt path leading into the trees. Her mom had told her not to go far, just to the big oak tree and back while she prepared dinner. But Lily had heard something that tugged at her curiosity like an invisible string. A sound carried on the wind, faint, pained. "Hello?" Lily called out, her voice small against the vastness of the woods. The whimpering stopped briefly, then continued with more urgency. Lily clutched her stuffed rabbit closer to her chest, her heart thumping wildly. The sound seemed to be coming from behind the fallen log where she and her friends sometimes played pirates. Carefully, she crept forward, her light-up sneakers barely making a sound on the soft forest floor. And then she saw it. A large German Shepherd lay half-hidden in the shadows, its golden-brown eyes wide with fear. The dog's rich black and tan coat was matted with mud, and something darker that made Lily's stomach feel funny. But what made her gasp was what she saw wrapped around the dog's legs. Cruel metal wires cutting into the flesh, leaving angry red lines that disappeared into fur. "Oh no," Lily whispered, freezing in place. Her mom had always warned her about strange dogs. "They might be scared," she'd said, "and scared animals sometimes bite." The dog's eyes locked with hers, and Lily felt something pass between them, something she didn't have words for at 5 years old, but understood perfectly. Pain, fear, hope. The German Shepherd tried to move but whimpered loudly as the wires dug deeper. It laid its head back down on the forest floor, its breath coming in quick pants. Lily took a tiny step closer, then another. The dog watched her, but didn't growl. "It's okay," she said softly, using the same voice her mom used when Lily scraped her knee or had a bad dream. "I won't hurt you." Her small hand reached out, trembling slightly in the dappled sunlight. The dog's eyes never left her face. 1 inch, 2 inches. Would it snap at her? Would those powerful jaws close around her tiny fingers? The German Shepherd let out a soft sound, not quite a whine, not quite a sigh, and closed its eyes as Lily's fingertips gently touched the top of its head. "I'll help you," Lily promised, her voice sounding stronger than she felt. "I'll be right back." She turned and ran as fast as her little legs could carry her, back through the woods, past the big oak tree, across the backyard, and through the sliding glass door into the kitchen where her mother was chopping vegetables. "Mommy! Mommy!" Lily cried, breathless and urgent. "There's a dog in the woods. It's hurt real bad." Her mother turned, knife still in hand. "Lily, what have I told you about making up stories?" "I'm not." Tears sprang to Lily's eyes. "It has wires around its legs. It's bleeding." Her mother's face softened, but Lily could tell she didn't believe her. "Honey, we've talked about this. Remember last month with the dragon that turned out to be Mr. Peterson's lawn statue? But this is real. Please, Mommy." "Lily, I'm making dinner. Your brother is supposed to be watching you." "Noah," she called up the stairs. "Come down here." Noah thundered down the stairs, wireless headphones around his neck, his 14-year-old face twisted in annoyance. "What? Did you let your sister go into the woods alone?" their mother demanded. Noah shrugged. "She was just in the backyard a minute ago." "There's a hurt dog in the woods," Lily insisted, tugging on Noah's sleeve. "It needs help." Noah rolled his eyes. "Probably just a raccoon or something. She's always making stuff up." "Am not." Lily stomped her foot, frustration making her voice wobble. "Noah, please take your sister upstairs and get her washed up for dinner," their mother said with a sigh. "And no more woods today, Lily. It's getting late." Lily looked from her mother to Noah, desperation building in her chest. They weren't listening. They never listened. The dog was out there, hurting, waiting for help that wasn't coming. As Noah grudgingly led her upstairs, a plan began to form in Lily's mind. If no one would help her save the dog, she would have to do it herself. Later, after picking at her dinner and being tucked in for the night, Lily waited until the house grew quiet. She slipped out of bed, still in her pajamas, and tiptoed to her craft drawer. Her purple safety scissors weren't very sharp, but maybe they could cut through those terrible wires. She grabbed her juice box from her lunch bag and a half-eaten granola bar from her nightstand. Silently, she cracked open her bedroom window. The oak tree outside had a branch that nearly touched the house. Noah had used it plenty of times to sneak out, thinking no one knew. It looked scarier in the moonlight, but the thought of the dog waiting, hurting, gave Lily courage she didn't know she had. Heart hammering, she carefully climbed out and inched along the branch until she could drop down to the soft grass below. The night air was cool against her skin, and shadows seemed to move between the trees. For a moment, Lily almost turned back. But then she remembered the dog's eyes, the trust she'd seen there, and kept going. The forest was different at night. Sounds seemed louder, shapes more mysterious. Lily clutched her supplies tightly, using the moonlight filtering through the leaves to find her way back to the fallen log. "Dog?" she called in a whisper. "Are you still here?" For a terrible moment, there was no answer. Then came a soft whine from behind the log. The German Shepherd was exactly where she'd left it, looking even more exhausted now. Its eyes brightened slightly at the sight of her, and its tail gave the faintest thump against the ground. "I brought help," Lily said, kneeling beside the large animal. Up close, she could see how the wires had been deliberately wrapped around the dog's legs, cutting into flesh with cruel precision. Who would do such a thing? The thought made her throat tight with anger. The dog watched warily as she set down her juice box and opened the straw. "Are you thirsty?" she asked, holding the small box near the dog's mouth. After a moment's hesitation, the German Shepherd extended its tongue, lapping awkwardly at the sweet liquid. Lily helped, squeezing the box gently so more juice flowed out. "Good dog," she murmured encouragingly. "Now I'm going to try to cut these mean wires. It might hurt a little bit, but then you'll feel better." Lily's hands shook as she opened her safety scissors and carefully slid one blade under the first wire. The metal was thicker than she expected. She squeezed the scissors with all her might, her small face scrunched with effort. The dog tensed but didn't move away. It was almost as if it understood what she was trying to do. "Almost," Lily grunted, her fingers aching from the pressure. Finally, with a small snap, the first wire broke. The dog let out a sharp yelp, then immediately licked Lily's hand as if apologizing for making noise. "Shh," Lily whispered, stroking the dog's head. "It's okay, just a few more." Wire by wire, Lily worked through her task. Some broke easily, others required all her strength and several attempts. The moon had moved across the sky by the time she cut the last one, her pajamas dirty and her fingers sore. "There," she said proudly, sitting back on her heels, "all gone." The German Shepherd looked at its legs in wonder, as though not quite believing they were free. Slowly, painfully, it tried to stand. Its legs trembled with the effort, and Lily could see raw, bloody lines where the wires had cut into flesh. "Can you walk?" she asked softly. The dog took one halting step, then another. Pain flashed in its eyes, but determination seemed to win out. It limped a few feet away, then looked back at Lily as if making a decision. Lily held her breath. Would it run away now? Would she ever see it again? The German Shepherd limped back to her, lowered its head, and gently licked her cheek. The warm, rough tongue against her skin made Lily giggle despite the seriousness of the moment. "You're welcome," she whispered, wrapping her arms around the dog's neck in a gentle hug. "Will you come home with me?" But the dog pulled back, looking toward the deeper woods. It seemed torn, wanting to stay but needing to go. "It's okay," Lily said, understanding somehow. "But come back tomorrow, I'll bring you a sandwich." The German Shepherd gave her one last look, a look that seemed to hold a promise, then turned and limped away into the darkness, disappearing among the trees. Lily watched until she couldn't see it anymore, then made her way back home, climbing the oak tree with difficulty and tumbling through her bedroom window just as the sky began to lighten with dawn. As she curled up in bed, still in her dirty pajamas, Lily felt different somehow, braver, stronger. She had helped when no one else would. As sleep claimed her, she wondered if she would ever see the dog again or if it had just been a dream. But the dirt under her fingernails and the memory of those trusting golden brown eyes told her it had been real, very real, and somehow she knew this wasn't the end of their story. It was just the beginning. Over the next few days, Lily returned to the spot in the woods where she'd found the German Shepherd. Each time, she brought something. A ham sandwich stolen from her lunch, a bowl of water, even her own blanket that she'd smuggled out in her backpack. But the dog was gone. Please come back, she whispered on the third day, sitting cross-legged on the forest floor. She had brought her crayons and was drawing pictures, colorful scribbles of a little girl and a big dog, surrounded by hearts and flowers. When she finished each masterpiece, she tucked it under a rock near the fallen log. "These are for you," she told the empty woods, "so you know where to find me." At home, her mother noticed her quietness. "Are you feeling okay, sweetie?" she asked, pressing a hand to Lily's forehead during breakfast. "I'm fine," Lily answered, pushing her cereal around with her spoon. "Just thinking." About what? Lily considered telling her mother about the dog again, but remembered how she hadn't been believed the first time. "Nothing," she said instead. Noah watched her from across the table, an unusual expression on his face, something like curiosity mixed with concern. He'd noticed his little sister sneaking out with food, coming back with leaves in her hair, and disappointment in her eyes. On the fifth day, something amazing happened. Lily arrived at the fallen log to find one of her drawings had been moved, and next to it, pressed into the soft mud, was a perfect paw print, much too large for any of the raccoons or foxes that sometimes pass through. Her heart soared. The dog had been here. It had seen her drawings. "You came back," she called out, spinning in a circle as she searched the trees. "Where are you?" No answering bark came, but Lily didn't mind. The paw print was enough, a message that her friend was out there somewhere, watching, remembering. That night, a spring storm rolled in, rattling windows and sending rain lashing against the house and sheets. Thunder boomed overhead, making Lily pull the covers up to her chin. She had always been afraid of storms, the way the whole world seemed angry and out of control. A particularly loud crack of thunder made her squeak in fear, and she was just about to run to her parents' room when she heard it, a sound that didn't belong to the storm. Barking, urgent and desperate, coming from outside her window. Lily scrambled out of bed and pressed her face to the glass. The rain made it hard to see, but there, illuminated by a flash of lightning, was a large, soaking wet shape in the backyard. The German Shepherd stood there, looking directly up at her window, rain plastering its fur to its thin frame. "You came!" Lily gasped, her fear of the storm forgotten. Without hesitation, she ran downstairs and to the back door. The security system beeped as she unlocked it, but the storm was loud enough to cover the sound. Rain immediately soaked her pajamas as she stepped onto the porch. "Here, boy," she called softly. The German Shepherd limped toward her, its eyes reflecting the porch light. The wounds on its legs were beginning to heal, but the dog looked hungry and exhausted. It hesitated at the bottom of the steps. "It's okay," Lily encouraged. "Come inside. It's warm." Another crash of thunder decided it. The dog bounded up the steps as best it could, with its injured legs, and followed Lily into the house. Water dripped from both of them onto the kitchen floor as Lily quietly closed and locked the door. The German Shepherd stood awkwardly in the center of the room, as if unsure of its welcome in this human place. "You need to be super quiet," Lily whispered, putting a finger to her lips, "or they'll make you leave." The dog seemed to understand, lowering its head in acknowledgement. "Let's go to my room," Lily said, leading the way upstairs. She walked slowly, aware of how the dog struggled with the steps, pausing on each one to gather strength for the next. Its loyalty in seeking her out despite its pain touched something deep in Lily's heart. Once in her bedroom, Lily closed the door and found an old towel in her closet. Gently, she began to dry the dog's fur, talking softly all the while. "You're safe now," she promised. "I'll take care of you." As she worked, she realized something. "You need a name," she told the dog. "Every friend needs a name." The German Shepherd watched her, with those intelligent eyes that seemed to understand every word. "How about—" Lily thought for a moment, remembering the color of the dog's eyes in the sunlight. "Amber, like the pretty stones in Mommy's necklace?" The dog's tail gave a slight wag. "Amber it is," Lily declared, delighted, "and you can sleep under my bed where no one will find you." She arranged her spare blanket beneath the bed frame, creating a cozy nest. Amber circled twice, then settled into the space with a deep sigh that sounded almost like relief. Within moments, the dog's eyes closed, exhaustion finally winning out over fear. Lily changed into dry pajamas and climbed back into bed, one arm dangling down so her fingers could just touch Amber's fur. The storm continued outside, but somehow, it didn't seem so scary anymore. "Good night, Amber," she whispered. "I'm so glad you found me." As she drifted off to sleep, Lily didn't know that hiding a full-grown German Shepherd would be much harder than she imagined. She didn't know about the secrets Amber carried or the danger that still lurked. She only knew that something incredible had happened. She had made a friend who needed her as much as she needed them. And for tonight, that was enough. Morning sunlight streamed through Lily's bedroom window, warming her face as she slowly woke up. For a moment, she forgot about the storm, forgot about her midnight visitor. Then she heard a soft snore from beneath her bed, and everything came rushing back. "Amber?" she whispered, sliding out of bed and peeking under the frame. The German Shepherd was still there, curled up on her blanket, sleeping peacefully. In daylight, Lily could see more details she'd missed in the storm. Amber was thinner than she'd first thought, ribs showing through the fur. The healing wounds on her legs looked painful but clean. Most surprising of all, despite being a stray, Amber was remarkably well groomed, except for the mud and rain damage. Amber's eyes opened at the sound of Lily's voice, and her tail thumped against the floor. "Good morning," Lily said softly. "Are you hungry?" As if understanding the question, Amber's stomach gave a loud rumble that made Lily giggle. "I'll get you some food," she promised. "But first, we need to make sure nobody sees you." Lily crept to her bedroom door and pressed her ear against it. She could hear her mother moving around downstairs, the familiar sounds of breakfast preparation. Her dad would already be at work. He left early for his job at the hardware store. Noah's room was silent, which meant he was still asleep. Perfect. Lily tiptoed downstairs and into the kitchen. Her mother was at the stove, making pancakes. "Good morning, sweetie," her mother said without turning around. "You're up early for a Saturday." "The storm woke me up," Lily said, which wasn't entirely a lie. "Can I have extra pancakes? I'm really hungry." Her mother smiled. "Growing girl needs her food. Set the table, and I'll make you a big stack." Lily did as asked, but when her mother turned back to the stove, she quickly wrapped 2 pancakes in a napkin and tucked them into her pajama pocket. She also grabbed a bowl and filled it with water. "I'm going to eat upstairs," Lily announced. "I want to color while I eat." "That's fine, but don't spill syrup on your coloring books," her mother warned. Back in her room, Lily set down the bowl of water and unwrapped the pancakes. Amber emerged from under the bed, nose twitching at the smell of food. "They're still warm," Lily said proudly, breaking the pancakes into smaller pieces, "and they have blueberries." Amber ate carefully, almost delicately, which struck Lily as odd for a dog that had been living in the woods. Most dogs she knew would gulp food down without chewing. "You have good manners," Lily observed, settling cross-legged on the floor beside Amber. "Someone taught you how to behave." This thought made her wonder about Amber's past. Where had she come from? How had she ended up trapped in those terrible wires? The questions swirled in Lily's mind, but she pushed them aside. What mattered now was keeping Amber safe and hidden. For the next 3 days, Lily became an expert at sneaking. She smuggled food upstairs in her pockets, emptied her juice boxes into bowls for Amber to drink, and even managed to get one of her father's old shirts to use as an extra blanket. Amber seemed content to stay hidden under the bed, emerging only when Lily was in the room. But keeping a secret this big was harder than Lily had imagined. On Tuesday morning, she was carrying a bowl of cereal upstairs when Noah appeared at the top of the staircase. "Why are you taking food to your room?" he asked suspiciously. Lily's heart hammered. I'm having a tea party with my stuffed animals." Noah raised an eyebrow. "With cereal?" "They like cereal," Lily said weakly. "Since when do you have tea parties? You always said they were stupid." Before Lily could answer, a sound came from her bedroom, the unmistakable jingle of a collar being shaken. Lily's eyes widened in panic. She'd forgotten that Amber still wore a collar, hidden beneath her thick fur. Noah's head turned toward the sound. "What was that?" "Nothing," Lily said quickly, but it was too late. Noah was already walking toward her room. "Noah, don't!" Lily cried, but her brother pushed open the door. At first, he didn't see anything unusual. Then Amber, hearing the commotion, poked her head out from under the bed. Noah's mouth fell open. "Holy!" "Don't tell Mom and Dad," Lily begged, setting down the cereal bowl and grabbing Noah's arm. "Please, they'll make her go away." "Lily, there's a huge dog in your room," Noah whispered, his voice cracking. "Where did it come from?" Tears started in Lily's eyes. "I found her in the woods. She was hurt real bad. I tried to tell Mom, but nobody believed me." Noah looked from his sister to the German Shepherd, who was now sitting calmly beside the bed, watching the conversation with intelligent eyes. "This is the dog you were talking about?" Noah asked. "The one with the wires?" Lily nodded, wiping her nose on her sleeve. "She came to me during the storm. She needed help." Noah stepped closer to Amber, and Lily held her breath. Her brother had always been afraid of big dogs, ever since a neighbor's Rottweiler had knocked him down when he was little. But Amber seemed to sense his nervousness. She lowered her head and extended one paw toward Noah, a gesture so human-like that both children stared in amazement. She's trying to shake hands," Noah said in wonder. "She's really smart," Lily said hopefully, "and she's gentle. She won't hurt anybody." Noah slowly reached out and touched Amber's paw. The dog's tail wagged once, softly. "How long has she been here?" Noah asked. 3 days, Lily admitted. "I've been taking care of her." "Lily, you can't keep a dog this size hidden. Mom and Dad are going to find out." "I know," Lily said miserably, "but I don't know what else to do. She has nowhere to go. And I think someone hurt her on purpose. The wires weren't an accident." Noah studied the healing wounds on Amber's legs, his expression growing serious. "These look deliberate," he said quietly, "like someone was trying to trap her." "Who would do that?" Lily asked, her voice small. "I don't know," Noah said, "but we need to figure out what to do about this. We can't keep her hidden forever." "Will you help me?" Lily asked hopefully. "Please?" Noah looked at his little sister's tear-stained face, then at the German shepherd who sat patiently between them. Despite his fear of dogs, he found himself nodding. "Yeah," he said, "I'll help, but we need a better plan than hiding her under your bed." The rest of the week passed in a blur of careful coordination. Noah helped Lily create a schedule for feeding Amber and walking her in the woods behind the house when their parents weren't looking. They discovered that Amber was incredibly well trained. She knew commands like sit, stay, and heel. She also seemed to understand when they needed her to be quiet, remaining silent even when voices passed by in the hallway. But on Saturday morning, their carefully constructed secret began to unravel. Lily had taken Amber for an early morning walk in the woods, confident that their parents were still asleep. She'd found a tennis ball in the garage and was throwing it for Amber to fetch, delighting in the way the dog's eyes lit up at the game. "Go get it, girl," Lily called, hurling the ball as far as her small arm could manage. Amber bounded after it, her limp much improved after a week of rest and regular meals. But as she retrieved the ball, both dog and girl heard something that made them freeze. Voices, multiple voices, coming through the trees. "I'm telling you, Mrs. Chen, I saw a large dog in this area yesterday," a man's voice said. "German Shepherd, by the looks of it." Lily's blood turned to ice. She recognized that voice. It belonged to Mr. Rodriguez, their neighbor, who was always complaining about something. "Are you sure it wasn't just a coyote?" a woman's voice replied, Mrs. Chen from 2 houses down. "I know the difference between a dog and a coyote," Mr. Rodriguez said irritably. "This was definitely a dog. Big one too. Could be dangerous." Lily quickly grabbed Amber's collar and pulled her toward a thick cluster of bushes. They crouched together, Lily's heart beating so loudly she was sure the neighbors would hear it. "Has anyone reported a missing dog?" Mrs. Chen asked. "Not that I know of," Mr. Rodriguez said, "but I called animal control anyway. They're sending someone out this afternoon to look for it." Animal control! Lily's eyes filled with tears. They would take Amber away, and she'd never see her again. "I hope they find it," Mrs. Chen said. "I worry about my little Emily playing outside if there's a stray dog around." "Exactly," Mr. Rodriguez agreed. "Could be rabid, for all we know." Their voices faded as they moved away, but Lily remained frozen in the bushes, clutching Amber's collar. The German Shepherd seemed to sense her distress and nuzzled her cheek gently. "They want to take you away," Lily whispered, her voice breaking. "I won't let them." But even as she said the words, Lily knew she was just a little girl. How could she protect Amber from grown-ups with official badges and cages? The walk back to the house felt like a funeral march. Lily's mind raced, trying to think of solutions. Maybe they could run away together, but where would they go? How would they survive? When they reached the house, Noah was waiting on the back porch, his face grim. "Did you hear?" he asked quietly. Lily nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. "They're coming this afternoon," Noah continued. "We need to get Amber out of here." "Where?" Lily asked desperately. "Where can she go?" Noah ran his hands through his hair, looking older than his 14 years. "I don't know. Maybe we could take her to the animal shelter ourselves. Explain what happened." "No," Lily cried. "They'll put her in a cage, or worse." "Lily, we don't have a choice." "There has to be another way," Lily interrupted, her voice fierce with determination. "Amber came to me for help. I'm not giving up on her." As they stood there, arguing in whispers, none of them noticed the figure watching from the edge of the woods. A man with tired eyes and a baseball cap pulled low over his face had been tracking the German Shepherd for days. He'd seen the little girl with the dog, seen how gentle they were together, and he'd made a decision that would change everything. That afternoon, as Lily sat in her room with Amber hidden under the bed, she heard a knock at the front door. Her stomach dropped. Was it animal control already? She crept to the top of the stairs and listened as her mother answered the door. "Can I help you?" her mother asked. "Yes, ma'am," came a man's voice. "I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm looking for a dog. A German Shepherd. She's been missing for over a week now." Lily's heart stopped. Someone was looking for Amber, but who? And why did his voice sound so sad? "A German Shepherd," her mother repeated. "I haven't seen any stray dogs around here." "She's not a stray," the man said quietly. She was my partner. We worked together for 5 years, but something happened and she ran away. I've been searching everywhere for her." Lily's mind reeled. Partner? What did that mean? "I'm sorry," her mother said gently. "I wish I could help, but I really haven't seen any dogs." "If you do," the man said, "could you call me? My name is Marcus. She means everything to me." Lily heard her mother take what must have been a business card or piece of paper with his contact information. "Of course," her mother said. "I hope you find her." "Thank you," Marcus replied. "She's been through a lot. I just want to know she's safe." The door closed and Lily heard her mother's footsteps moving toward the kitchen. But Lily remained frozen at the top of the stairs, her mind spinning with questions. Who was Marcus? How did he know Amber? And if he was looking for her, why had Amber been alone in the woods, trapped in those cruel wires? Under the bed, Amber had gone very still. It was almost as if she'd heard the conversation too. When Lily looked at her, the dog's eyes held an expression Lily had never seen before, a mixture of longing and fear that made her heart ache. "Amber," Lily whispered, "do you know who that was?" The German Shepherd's tail gave the faintest wag, but her eyes remained troubled. Outside, Marcus stood in the street, looking up at the house. He'd heard a sound from upstairs, a soft whine that he'd recognize anywhere. She was here, his partner, his friend, the dog who'd saved his life more times than he could count. The question was, why was she hiding? What had happened to make her so afraid that she wouldn't come to him? And as he walked away, Marcus knew that whatever had happened to separate them, he wasn't going to give up. Not on her, not ever. Inside the house, Lily made a decision. Tomorrow, she would find out who Marcus was and why Amber was afraid, because something told her that the real story, the one that would explain everything, was just beginning to unfold. The next morning, Lily woke up with a plan. She had to know more about Marcus and Amber's past, but first, she needed to make sure Amber was okay. The German Shepherd had barely moved all night, lying under the bed with her head on her paws, staring at nothing. "Good morning, girl," Lily whispered, sliding down to sit beside her furry friend. Amber looked at her with those deep, troubled eyes. For the first time since they'd met, the dog seemed truly sad, not just hurt or scared, but heartbroken. "You heard him yesterday, didn't you?" Lily asked softly. "You know Marcus." Amber's tail gave a tiny wag at the name, but then she tucked it between her legs as if ashamed of the reaction. "It's okay," Lily said, stroking Amber's head. "Whatever happened, we'll figure it out together." Downstairs, Lily found Noah already eating breakfast, scrolling through his phone. Their parents had left early for their weekend grocery shopping trip, giving the siblings the house to themselves for a few hours. "I've been thinking," Noah said without looking up, "about what that guy said yesterday." Lily poured herself a bowl of cereal and sat down across from him. "What about it?" "He said they were partners, and he mentioned they worked together for 5 years. Noah finally looked at his sister. "I think Amber might be a police dog." Lily's spoon paused halfway to her mouth. "A police dog?" "Think about it," Noah continued. "She's incredibly well trained. She knows commands, she's gentle but alert, and she's a German Shepherd. That's like the most common police dog breed. But then why was she in the woods? Why was she hurt?" "That's what we need to find out," Noah said grimly. "I looked up Marcus online last night." Lily leaned forward eagerly. What did you find? Noah turned his phone around to show her a news article from 2 weeks ago. The headline read, "Local K-9 officer and dog missing after drug bust gone wrong." Lily's eyes widened as Noah read aloud. Officer Marcus Rivera and his K-9 partner, Scout, disappeared during a raid on a suspected drug operation in the industrial district. Both are considered missing and potentially in danger. Anyone with information should contact police immediately. Scout, Lily whispered. Her real name is Scout. There's more, Noah said, scrolling down. Listen to this. Officer Rivera and Scout have been partners for 5 years and are known throughout the department for their exceptional teamwork. Scout has been credited with numerous successful arrests and has saved Officer Rivera's life on multiple occasions. Lily felt tears prick at her eyes. So, Marcus really is her partner, but why won't she go to him? Maybe she can't, Noah said quietly. Maybe something happened during that raid that made it dangerous for her to go back. As if summoned by their conversation, Amber appeared at the bottom of the stairs. She padded into the kitchen, moving more slowly than usual, and sat beside Lily's chair. Hey, Scout, Lily said gently, testing the name. Amber's, Scout's, ears perked up immediately, and her tail began to wag, but then, as if remembering something painful, she lowered her head again. She definitely knows that name, Noah observed, but something's wrong, really wrong. Lily made a decision. I want to meet him. What? Noah nearly choked on his orange juice. Marcus, I want to meet him and find out what really happened. Lily, you can't just... Why not? Lily interrupted. Scout is scared of something. Maybe if we talk to Marcus, we can figure out what it is. Noah shook his head. Mom and Dad would kill us if they knew we were talking to strange men. He's not strange, Lily protested. He's a police officer, and he loves Scout. I could hear it in his voice. Before Noah could argue further, the doorbell rang. Both children froze. Are Mom and Dad back already? Lily whispered. Noah checked his phone. No, they just left an hour ago. The doorbell rang again, followed by a gentle knock. Kids, came a familiar voice. It's Marcus. I know this might sound crazy, but I think my dog might be in your house. Lily and Noah looked at each other, then at Scout, who had gone completely rigid at the sound of Marcus's voice. We have to answer it, Noah said quietly. If we don't, he might call the police. But Scout will have to face whatever this is eventually, Noah finished gently. Lily looked down at Scout, who was trembling slightly. What do you want to do, girl? For a long moment, Scout stared at the front door. Then, slowly, she stood up and walked toward it, her steps hesitant but determined. Noah opened the door, and there stood Marcus, a man in his 30s with kind eyes and a face lined with worry and exhaustion. He wore civilian clothes, but something about his posture screamed law enforcement. His gaze immediately went to Scout, who stood behind the children, her body language a mixture of joy and terror. Scout, Marcus breathed, his voice breaking. Oh, girl, I've been looking everywhere for you. Scout took one step forward, then stopped, whining softly. It's okay, Marcus said, crouching down but not approaching. I'm not going to force you. I need to know you're safe. Are you really a police officer? Lily asked, finding her voice. Marcus nodded, pulling out his badge. Marcus Rivera, K-9 unit. Scout and I have been partners for 5 years. His eyes never left the German Shepherd. Until 2 weeks ago. What happened? Noah asked. Marcus's face darkened. We were conducting a raid on a warehouse. Intelligence said it was being used to store drugs, but when we got there, he paused, running a hand through his hair. It was a trap. Someone had tipped off the criminals. They were waiting for us. Scout whined again, and Lily knelt beside her, offering comfort. Scout saved my life that night, Marcus continued. She took down 2 armed men who had cornered me, but in the chaos, she disappeared. I found blood, her blood, and drag marks leading away from the scene. The wires, Lily whispered, understanding dawning. Someone took her and tied her up with wires. Marcus's face went pale. Wires? That's how I found her, Lily explained. In the woods, with metal wires wrapped around her legs. She was hurt and scared. Those bastards, Marcus muttered, then quickly apologized. Sorry, kids, if they hurt her... His hands clenched into fists. But who would do that? Noah asked. And why? Revenge, Marcus said grimly. Scout has put a lot of bad people behind bars. Some of them have friends on the outside. He looked at Scout with infinite sadness. I think they took her to get back at me, to hurt me by hurting her. Scout took another small step forward, her eyes never leaving Marcus's face. But why won't she come to you? Lily asked. She knows you love her. Marcus's voice was barely a whisper. Because I failed her. I was supposed to protect her, and I let her get taken. She probably thinks I abandoned her. That's not true, Lily said fiercely. You've been looking for her. You came here. But she doesn't know that, Marcus replied. All she knows is that when she needed me most, I wasn't there. Lily looked from Marcus to Scout, her heart breaking for both of them. Then, an idea began to form. Wait here, she told Marcus, then turned to Scout. Come on, girl, let's go upstairs. Once in her room, Lily pulled out her art supplies and began to draw furiously. Noah appeared in the doorway, watching curiously as his sister worked. What are you doing? He asked. Something that might help, Lily said, not looking up from her drawing. 10 minutes later, she had created a picture unlike any of her previous artwork. This one showed a man and a German shepherd standing together, both wearing police badges. Around them, she had drawn hearts and stars. And at the bottom, in her careful kindergarten handwriting, she had written, Scout and Marcus, best friends forever. That's really good, Noah said, surprised. Lily held up the picture to Scout. Look, girl, this is you and Marcus. You're a team, right? You help people together. Scout studied the drawing intently, her tail beginning to wag slowly. He's been looking for you because he loves you, Lily continued, just like I would look for you if you went missing. Something seemed to shift in Scout's expression. The fear was still there, but it was mixed with something else now, hope. Do you want to see him? Lily asked gently. Scout looked at the drawing again, then at Lily, then toward the door. After a long moment, she gave a soft woof of agreement. Downstairs, Marcus was pacing the living room, his hands shaking slightly. When he saw Scout coming down the stairs with the children, he froze. Scout, he called softly. This time, Scout didn't stop. She walked straight to Marcus and sat in front of him, her posture perfect and professional, the stance of a trained police dog reporting for duty. Marcus's eyes filled with tears as he reached out and gently touched Scout's head. I'm so sorry, girl. I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you. Scout leaned into his touch, and for a moment, all seemed right with the world. But the moment was shattered by the sound of a car door slamming outside. Through the window, they could see a black sedan parked across the street, and a man in a dark jacket was walking toward the house. Marcus went very still, his hand moving instinctively toward where his service weapon would normally be. Kids, go upstairs, now. Who is that? Noah asked, but Marcus was already moving toward the window. Scout, heel, Marcus commanded, and Scout immediately moved to his side, her body tense and alert. The man outside was halfway up the front walk when Marcus opened the door. Well, well, the stranger said with a cold smile. Look what we have here, the famous K9 team, reunited at last. Lily grabbed Noah's arm, both children recognizing the danger in the man's voice. Detective Morrison, Marcus said carefully, what are you doing here? Oh, I think you know exactly why I'm here, Morrison replied, his hand resting casually on something under his jacket. You and your dog have caused me a lot of trouble, Rivera. Time to clean up loose ends. And suddenly, Lily understood with crystal clarity why Scout had been so afraid to go home. The danger wasn't over. It was just beginning. Because sometimes, the people you are supposed to trust are the ones who hurt you the most. Scout growled low in her throat, positioning herself between the children and Detective Morrison. Whatever happened next, she was ready to protect her new family, just as they had protected her. The real question was, would it be enough? In the distance, Lily could hear her parents' car pulling into the driveway, completely unaware that they were about to walk into a situation that would change all their lives forever. Everything was about to come together. The truth about the raid, Scout's disappearance, and the corruption that had nearly cost both Marcus and Scout their lives. But first, they would have to survive the next few minutes. Morrison stepped closer to the door, his smile growing wider and more dangerous. Invite me in, Rivera. We have so much to discuss. Marcus stood his ground, his body blocking the doorway. This is a private residence, Morrison. You have no business here. Oh, but I do, Morrison replied, pulling back his jacket to reveal a gun holstered at his side. You see, your little partner there witnessed something she shouldn't have. And witnesses, well, they have a tendency to become problems. Scout's growl grew louder, her hackles rising. Even Lily, young as she was, could feel the menace radiating from the man at their door. "Kids, upstairs! Now!" Marcus said firmly, not taking his eyes off Morrison. But before anyone could move, the sound of car doors slamming echoed from the driveway. Lily's parents were home. "Lily? Noah?" their mother's voice called from outside. "Whose car is that in the street?" Morrison's smile faltered for just a moment. "Looks like we have an audience," he said quietly. "That complicates things." "Let's not complicate them further," Marcus said carefully. "Whatever issues you have are with me, not these people." "Actually," Morrison said, his voice dropping to a whisper, "my issues are with your dog. She saw me that night, Rivera. She saw everything." The pieces clicked together in Marcus's mind like a puzzle solving itself. "You set us up. The tip about the warehouse, it came from you." "Very good," Morrison said mockingly, "though it took you long enough to figure it out." Lily's parents appeared behind Morrison, grocery bags in their arms, confusion written across their faces. "Excuse me," Lily's father said politely, "can we help you with something?" Morrison turned, and his demeanor changed completely. Gone was the threatening tone, replaced by a friendly, professional manner. "Good morning, folks. Detective Morrison, Police Department. I was just speaking with Officer Rivera here about a case we're working on." Lily's mother looked past Morrison to Marcus. "Officer Rivera? Is everything all right?" Marcus's jaw was tight, but he managed to speak calmly. "Everything's fine, ma'am. Just a routine follow-up." But Scout wasn't buying the act. She pressed closer to Marcus, her body language screaming danger to anyone who knew how to read it. "What a beautiful dog," Morrison said, his eyes never leaving Scout. "German Shepherds are such loyal animals, sometimes too loyal for their own good." The threat in his words was clear to Marcus, even if Lily's parents missed it. "Well," Lily's father said awkwardly, "we should probably let you get back to your business. Kids, come help with the groceries." "Actually," Morrison said smoothly, "I was hoping to speak with your children for just a moment. We're canvassing the neighborhood about a missing animal, and they might have seen something." Lily's heart hammered in her chest. She looked at Noah, who had gone pale beside her. "What kind of animal?" their mother asked. "A German Shepherd," Morrison replied, his gaze shifting meaningfully to Scout. "Very dangerous, possibly rabid. We've had reports of it attacking people." "That's not true," Lily burst out before she could stop herself. Everyone turned to look at her, and Morrison's smile became razor sharp. "Oh, you've seen this dog, little girl?" Marcus shot Lily a warning look, but she was too angry to stay quiet. "She's not dangerous. She's gentle and sweet and—" "Lily," Noah interrupted, grabbing her arm, but it was too late. "Interesting," Morrison said. "Very interesting indeed." Lily's parents looked confused and increasingly worried. "Kids, what's going on?" their father demanded. Before anyone could answer, Morrison made his move. In one fluid motion, he stepped into the house, his hand moving to his weapon. "I think we should all go inside and have a proper conversation," he said, his friendly mask finally slipping away completely. Marcus tensed, but with civilians present, including children, his options were limited. "Morrison, don't do this. You're making everything worse." "Actually, I'm cleaning up a mess that should have been handled weeks ago," Morrison replied. "Your dog there cost me a lot of money, Rivera. A lot of very important people are unhappy with me because of what she saw." "What did she see?" Lily asked, her voice small but determined. Morrison looked down at her with something like amusement. "Smart kid, asks the right questions." He turned back to Marcus. "Want to tell her, Rivera? Or should I?" Marcus's face was grim. "She saw you taking money from the drug dealers. That's why you set up the raid, to eliminate the evidence. And when that failed, you decided to eliminate the witness." "Bingo," Morrison said. 10 points to Officer Rivera." Lily's parents stared in shock and growing fear. "You're a police officer," their mother said weakly. "You're supposed to protect people." "I protect the people who pay me," Morrison replied coldly. "And right now, that means making sure this dog never testifies against me." "Dogs can't testify," Noah said, his voice shaking. Morrison laughed. "No, but they can identify suspects. Scout here picked me out of a lineup before we lost her. If she surfaces again, my career and my freedom are over." "So you tortured her," Lily said, tears streaming down her face. "You hurt her with those wires." "I didn't personally handle that part," Morrison said dismissively. "I have people for the dirty work." Scout was trembling now, memories of pain and fear flooding back. But she didn't cower. Instead, she stepped forward, placing herself between Morrison and the family that had saved her. "Brave dog," Morrison observed. "Stupid, but brave, just like her partner." That's when Marcus noticed something that made his heart skip. Scout wasn't just protecting the family, she was positioning herself for an attack. Her training was kicking in, overriding her trauma. "You made one mistake, Morrison," Marcus said quietly. "Oh, and what's that?" "You underestimated her. Scout doesn't just remember what you did to her, she remembers what you are, and she knows how to stop people like you." Morrison's confidence wavered slightly. The dog is injured, traumatized. She's not the same animal she was. "No," Marcus agreed. "She's not. She's stronger, and she has something to protect now." He looked at Lily, who was watching Scout with fierce pride and love. "These kids saved her life," Marcus continued. "They showed her kindness when she had forgotten what it felt like. They gave her a reason to trust again. And if you think Scout's loyalty to me was strong, you should see what she'll do for the little girl who cut those wires off her legs." Morrison's hand moved closer to his weapon. "Enough talking. This ends now." But as he reached for his gun, Scout exploded into motion. 5 years of police training and natural protective instincts combined as she launched herself at Morrison, her powerful jaws clamping down on his gun hand before he could draw the weapon. Morrison screamed in pain and rage, trying to shake Scout off, but she held on with grim determination. "Call 911, Marcus shouted to Lily's parents as he moved to help restrain Morrison. Lily's father was already reaching for his phone, but Morrison wasn't finished. With his free hand, he pulled a backup weapon from an ankle holster. "Scout!" Lily screamed in warning. The German Shepherd released Morrison's wrist and leaped backward, avoiding the wild shot that splintered the doorframe where her head had been moments before. Morrison spun toward the children, his face twisted with rage. "You little brats ruined everything!" But before he could fire again, a small figure stepped directly between him and the gun. Lily, all of 5 years old and barely tall enough to reach Morrison's waist, stood with her arms spread wide, protecting Scout and her family. "You won't hurt her anymore," she said, her voice trembling but determined. "I won't let you." For a moment, even Morrison seemed stunned by the child's courage. "Kid, get out of the way. This isn't your fight." "Yes, it is," Lily replied. "Scout is my friend, and friends protect each other." The standoff stretched for eternal seconds. Morrison with his gun, Lily with nothing but courage, Scout poised to attack again, Marcus calculating angles and distances, and Lily's family frozen in terror. Then Noah did something that surprised everyone, including himself. He stepped up beside his little sister, his gangly teenage frame adding to the human shield. "She's right," he said, his voice cracking but brave. "You want to hurt Scout? You'll have to go through us." Morrison stared at them in disbelief. "You kids are insane. I'm a police detective." "You're a bad guy," Lily said simply, "and good people stop bad guys." "That's right," came a new voice from the doorway. Everyone turned to see 2 uniformed officers entering the house, weapons drawn and trained on Morrison. "Drop your weapon, detective," one of them commanded. "Now." Morrison's face went through a series of expressions: rage, calculation, desperation. For a moment, it looked like he might try to shoot his way out, but then Scout made the decision for him. With a low growl, she advanced on Morrison, her eyes locked on his gun hand. The message was clear: make one wrong move, and she would finish what she'd started. Slowly, Morrison set his weapon on the floor and raised his hands. "Jake Morrison," the lead officer said as his partner moved to secure the gun, "you're under arrest for corruption, attempted murder, and conspiracy." As the handcuffs clicked into place, Morrison looked at Lily with something almost like respect. "You know, kid, you've got more guts than most cops I know." "That's because I learned from the best," Lily replied, reaching down to hug Scout's neck. "Dogs are way braver than people." Marcus knelt beside them, his own eyes bright with unshed tears. "She's right about that," he said softly. "Scout's the bravest partner I've ever had." Scout looked from Marcus to Lily, her tail wagging for the first time since the confrontation began. She had her partner back, she had a family that loved her, and the monster who had hurt her was finally in chains. As the police led Morrison away, he called back one last time. "This isn't over, Rivera. I have friends. Important friends." "So do we," Lily said firmly, not understanding the full implications, but knowing that they would face whatever came next together. Marcus looked at the little girl who had saved his partner's life and his own career. "Yes," he said quietly, "we do." Outside, more police cars were arriving, and neighbors were gathering to watch the drama unfold. Inside the house, a family that had started the day worrying about hidden dogs was coming to terms with the fact that they had just helped solve a major corruption case. But the biggest change was in Scout herself. The fear that had haunted her for weeks was finally lifting, replaced by something she thought she'd lost forever: trust in the goodness of people and the power of love to overcome even the darkest circumstances. The healing could finally begin. The next few hours passed in a whirlwind of activity. Police officers filled the house, taking statements and photographs. Lily's parents sat on the couch, still in shock from everything that had happened. Noah kept shaking his head, muttering about how movies never prepared you for real danger. But Lily sat on the floor with Scout, gently brushing the German Shepherd's fur, while Marcus answered questions from the investigators. Every few minutes, Scout would look up at Lily as if making sure she was still there, still safe. "The little girl saved everyone's life today," Detective Sarah Chen was telling the lead investigator. "If she hadn't stepped between Morrison and the dog, this could have ended very differently." Lily's mother overheard and pulled her daughter close. "Lily, what you did was incredibly brave, but also incredibly dangerous. You could have been hurt." I couldn't let him hurt Scout," Lily said simply. "She's my friend. Friends don't let friends get hurt." Marcus finished giving his statement and walked over to where Lily sat with Scout. "Mind if I join you?" Lily nodded, scooting over to make room. Marcus sat down heavily, the exhaustion of weeks of searching and worry finally catching up with him. "I don't know how to thank you," he said quietly. "You saved her life. You saved both our lives." "You don't have to thank me," Lily replied. "That's what friends do." Marcus smiled at her simple wisdom. "You know, Scout and I are going to have to go back to work soon. Back to the police station, back to catching bad guys." Lily's face fell. "You're leaving?" "Well, that depends," Marcus said, glancing at Scout, who was watching the conversation intently. "Scout here has been through a lot. She might need some time to recover, to remember that there are good people in the world." "She knows that," Lily said confidently. "She's the smartest dog ever." "She is," Marcus agreed. "But even smart dogs need friends, special friends who understand them." Lily looked confused, so Marcus continued. "What I'm trying to say is, would you like to be Scout's official friend? Someone she could visit when she's not working? Someone who could help her remember that the world isn't all bad?" Lily's eyes went wide. "Really? I could see her again." "If your parents say it's okay," Marcus said, looking hopefully at Lily's mother and father. Lily's parents exchanged a look. After everything they'd witnessed, the bond between their daughter and this remarkable dog was undeniable. "I think we can arrange that," her father said with a smile. Over the next few weeks, a new routine developed. Marcus and Scout would visit every few days, sometimes for official business as Marcus helped tie up loose ends in the corruption case, but mostly just to spend time with the family that had given them hope. Lily learned that Scout wasn't the only victim of Morrison's corruption. The detective had been taking money from drug dealers for months, tipping them off to raids and protecting their operations. When Scout identified him in a lineup, Morrison had panicked and arranged for her to be kidnapped and killed. But Scout was tougher than anyone had expected. Even injured and traumatized, she had escaped and found her way to the one person who could help her heal, a little girl with a big heart and infinite courage. The story of Lily and Scout spread quickly through the community. Local news stations picked it up, then regional outlets, and finally national media. The headline that appeared on screens across the country read, "5-year-old hero saves police dog, exposes corruption." But Lily didn't care about being famous. She cared about Scout, who was slowly returning to her old, confident self. The nightmares were fading, the fear was lifting, and the trust was growing stronger every day. One afternoon, about a month after Morrison's arrest, Marcus arrived at the house with an unusual request. "The police department wants to do something special," he told Lily and her family. "They want to honor Scout for her service, And they want to honor you, Lily, for your bravery." "What kind of honor?" Noah asked, looking up from his homework. "A ceremony," Marcus explained, "with the mayor, the police chief, and probably some reporters." Lily made a face. "Do I have to make a speech?" Marcus laughed. "Only if you want to, but there's something else. The department wants to create a new program, a volunteer program where kids can help train and socialize police dogs. They want to call it the Lily Program." Lily's jaw dropped. "They want to name it after me?" "Who better?" Marcus said. "You proved that kids and dogs make an amazing team." The ceremony was held at the police station on a bright Saturday morning. The parking lot was filled with families, reporters, and police officers. Scout wore a brand new collar with a shiny badge attached, while Lily wore her best dress and a nervous expression. Police Chief Martinez spoke first, telling the crowd about Morrison's arrest and the corruption that Scout had helped expose. Then he called Lily and Scout to the front. "This little girl," he said, putting his hand on Lily's shoulder, "showed more courage in one moment than most people show in a lifetime. When faced with danger, she didn't run, she didn't hide. She stood up for what was right, and she protected those who couldn't protect themselves." The crowd applauded, and Lily felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment and pride. "And this dog," the chief continued, gesturing to Scout, "never gave up hope. Even when the world seemed dark and dangerous, she kept fighting. She kept believing, and together they reminded us all what real courage looks like." After the ceremony, as the crowd dispersed and reporters packed up their equipment, Lily found herself alone with Scout and Marcus behind the police station. "Are you happy to be back at work?" she asked Scout, who was lying in the shade of a tree. Scout's tail wagged, but she got up and walked over to Lily, resting her head in the little girl's lap. "I think she's saying that work is good, but friends are better," Marcus interpreted. Lily giggled and scratched behind Scout's ears. "I think you're right." As the weeks turned into months, the friendship between Lily and Scout deepened. True to his word, Marcus brought Scout by regularly. Sometimes they would practice training exercises in the backyard, with Lily learning to give commands and Scout showing off her skills. Other times, they would simply sit together, reading or drawing, while Scout napped nearby. The Lily program was officially launched 6 months later, with Lily as its first and youngest volunteer. She helped train new police dogs, teaching them that children were friends, not threats. Her gentle approach and natural understanding of animals made her incredibly effective. But perhaps more importantly, Lily and Scout began visiting places where healing was needed. They went to children's hospitals, where Scout's calm presence helped sick kids feel better. They visited retirement homes, where elderly residents lit up at the sight of the gentle German Shepherd. They even went to schools, teaching other children about courage, kindness, and the importance of helping those in need. One day, nearly a year after their first meeting in the woods, Lily was drawing at the kitchen table when her mother sat down beside her. "What are you working on?" her mother asked. Lily held up her picture, a detailed drawing of a little girl and a German Shepherd, both wearing capes and standing in front of a police station. "It's me and Scout," Lily explained. "We're superheroes." Her mother smiled. "What's your superpower?" Lily thought for a moment, then pointed to her heart. "Caring," she said simply. "When you really care about someone, you can be brave enough to help them." That evening, when Marcus arrived for their weekly visit, Lily showed him the drawing. "Superheroes, huh?" he said, examining the picture carefully. "I think you might be right about that." "Everyone can be a superhero," Lily said confidently. "You just have to be willing to help when someone needs you." Marcus looked at this remarkable little girl who had changed his life and Scout's life so completely. "You know what, Lily? I think you're absolutely right." As Scout curled up beside Lily for their usual evening story time, Marcus reflected on everything that had happened. A corrupt detective was in prison. A traumatized dog had learned to trust again. A little girl had discovered her own strength. And a community had come together to protect the innocent and punish the guilty. It had all started with a child's compassion and a dog's desperate need for help, but it had become something much bigger. A reminder that heroism doesn't come from strength or weapons or authority. It comes from love, courage, and the willingness to stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. Inside, a little girl read stories to a German Shepherd who had learned that the world was full of good people after all. And somewhere between the pages of the book and the rhythm of Scout's breathing, both of them knew that their friendship would last forever. Because some bonds are stronger than fear, deeper than trauma, and more powerful than any force that tries to break them. The bond between Lily and Scout was one of those rare magical connections that changes everyone it touches. And in a world that often seems dark and scary, stories like theirs remind us that light always finds a way to shine through. It just sometimes comes in the form of a 5-year-old girl with a big heart and the courage to use it. As Marcus watched them together, he whispered the words that had become his motto since that day in the woods. It doesn't take strength to change the world. Sometimes it just takes a heart that listens. And in the quiet of that perfect evening, surrounded by the family that had saved them both, Scout's tail thumped once against the floor in complete agreement. If you enjoyed this incredible story of courage and friendship, please like, share, and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Stories like Lily and Scout's remind us that heroes come in all sizes, and sometimes the smallest among us have the biggest hearts. Remember to always be kind to animals and stand up for those who need help. You never know when you might change a life forever.